And we're going to hear a lot that you guys are going to talk about. You're going to ask me privately, are we going to tank for Caitlin Clark and like that? Like, it's not. The official announcement has not been made by USA Basketball, so it'd be premature for me to have any conversations about any player or anything.
Caitlin Clark's averaging 27 points a game, but she's not good enough for Team USA? Something's not adding up here. Let's break down what's really going on with this Olympic roster drama. So get this. Caitlin Clark, the basketball phenom everyone's been raving about, didn't make Team USA for the Paris Olympics. I know, right? It's like finding out LeBron James got cut from a pickup game. This news hit the basketball world like a thunderbolt. Fans were shocked, analysts were scratching their heads, and everyone was asking the same question. How does the hottest player in college basketball not make the cut? Now let's talk about the person at the center of this storm, Cheryl Reeve. She's the head coach of Team USA and the one calling the shots when it comes to picking the Olympic roster. That's a big job, and with great power comes, well, you know the rest. Reeve's the one who had to make this call, and boy, did it stir up some drama. So why didn't Clark make the team? The official reasons sound like something straight out of a corporate PR handbook. They're talking about team balance, international experience, and specific skill needs. Okay, sure, those all sound important, but come on, we're talking about Caitlin Clark here, the girl who's been lighting up scoreboards like they're pinball machines. It's like saying you don't want Michael Phelps on your swim team because you're worried about water displacement, and now you gotta give Clark credit. She's handling this whole thing like a pro. When she heard the news, she said, "That's what you dream of as a young kid, getting to represent your country." Can you imagine how tough that must have been to say? She's out here talking about future opportunities and keeping her head high. That's some real class right there. But here's the thing. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore. This snub has lit a fire under the whole basketball community. People are asking questions, and not just the easy ones. They're digging deep, looking at how these teams get picked, wondering if there's more to the story than what we're being told. You know what's really wild? This whole situation is making people take a hard look at women's basketball as a whole. It's not just about one player or one team anymore. We're talking about the future of the sport, how we value talent, and who gets to make these big decisions. And let me tell you, this debate is just getting started. We've got fans fired up, analysts working overtime, and players wondering what it all means for their careers. It's like someone took a match to a powder keg, and now everyone's waiting to see what happens next. But here's what I'm thinking. Maybe, just maybe, this whole controversy could be a good thing in the long run. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Sometimes it takes a shock to the system to make people sit up and pay attention. And boy, are people paying attention now. We're asking the big questions now. How do we balance honoring the veterans who've put in the work with giving new talent a shot? What does it really take to build a winning team in today's game? And most importantly, are we making decisions based on what's best for the future of women's basketball? Or are we stuck in the past? These aren't easy questions, and there aren't any easy answers, but the fact that we're even having this conversation, that's huge. It means people care. It means women's basketball matters. And it means that whatever happens next, it's going to be a game changer. You think leaving Clark off the team was bad? That's just the tip of the iceberg. The backlash has been intense. Fans are furious, analysts are confused, and everyone's questioning Cheryl Reeve's leadership. It's like she took the playbook and threw it out the window. But here's where it gets really crazy. Reeve made this statement that's got everyone talking. She said, "Winning doesn't matter because we'll win anyway." Can you believe that? It's like she's saying, who cares who's on the team? We're Team USA, we'll crush it no matter what. Talk about confidence, right? But is that really the attitude you want from the coach picking the Olympic squad? People are wondering if Reeve's even trying to put together the best team possible. I mean, if winning's guaranteed, why bother with top talent, right? It's not just about Clark anymore. This is raising serious questions about how Team USA is being run. And get this, it's not just Clark getting the short end of the stick. Reeve's been making some other moves that have people scratching their heads. She's benched Kelsey Plum and Chelsea Gray. These are top-tier players, folks. They've proven themselves at the highest levels, but for some reason, they're riding the pine. Meanwhile, guess who's still getting major minutes? Diana Taurasi. Now, don't get me wrong, Taurasi's a legend, but she's 41 years old. That's ancient in basketball years. It's like Reeve's living in the past, not looking to the future. This whole situation is starting to look less like a selection process and more like a popularity contest. It's like there's this bias against new players, no matter how good they are. Reeve seems to be stuck in this mindset of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But here's the thing, maybe it is broke and we just can't see it yet. And you've got to wonder what this means for the future of women's basketball. Are we going to keep relying on the old guard, or are we going to give new talent a chance to shine? It's not just about winning games anymore, it's about growing the sport, inspiring the next generation. And let's talk about Reeve's social media for a second. People have been digging up her old posts about Clark, and let me tell you, they're not pretty. Some folks are saying Reeve had it out for Clark from the start, like she'd already made up her mind before the selection process even began. That's a serious accusation. This whole controversy is exposing some big problems in how Team USA picks its players. It's not just about talent anymore, it's about politics, about who knows who, about sticking with what's familiar instead of taking a chance on something new. So we've seen the snub, we've seen the backlash, but what's the real fallout from all this Caitlin Clark drama? Let me tell you, it's not just about one player or one team anymore. This whole mess is shaking up the entire world of women's basketball. Think about it. Team USA used to be the gold standard, right? The team everyone looked up to. But now, people are starting to ask some serious questions, like, are they really picking the best players, or are they just sticking with what's comfortable? And it's not just fans who are upset. We're talking about analysts, former players, even some coaches. They're all looking at Team USA differently now. It's like finding out your favorite superhero has a weakness. Suddenly, they don't seem so invincible anymore. But here's where it gets interesting. You know what the selection committee is saying about all this? Jen Rosati, the chair of the committee, she's standing her ground. She says, it would be irresponsible for us to talk about Caitlin Clark in a way other than how she would impact the play of the team. Basically, she's saying it's not about popularity or marketability. It's all about performance. Now that sounds good on paper, right? But here's the thing. If it's all about performance, then how do you explain leaving off a player who's averaging 27 points a game? Something's not adding up here. And it's not just about Clark. This whole situation is exposing a bigger problem in women's basketball. You've got this tug of war going on between the old guard and the new talent. On one side, you've got the veterans, the players who've been there, done that. They've got the experience, they've got the Olympic medals. But on the other side, you've got these young guns coming up, players like Clark who are changing the game. So what do? Do you stick with what's worked in the past, or do you take a chance on the future? It's not an easy decision, but here's the thing. If you always play it safe, you might end up falling behind. Think about other countries. They're not sitting still. They're building their programs, developing new talent. If Team USA keeps relying on the same old playbook, they might find themselves in for a nasty surprise one of these days. Now, let's talk about Clark for a second. You think this is going to slow her down? No way. If anything, it's probably lit a fire under her. Next season, she's going to come out swinging. Mark my words, she's got something to prove. Now, but it's not just about Clark. What about all the other young players out there, the ones who are watching this whole drama unfold? What message does this send to them? It's like saying, hey, no matter how good you are, there's no guarantee you'll make the cut. That's gotta be tough to swallow. Rosati tried to explain it. She said, when you base your decision on criteria, there were other players that were harder to cut because they checked a lot more boxes. But come on, how many boxes do you need to check when you're putting up numbers like Clark? Here's the real kicker. This whole controversy, it could be a turning point for women's basketball. People are paying attention now. They're asking questions. They're demanding answers. And that could lead to some big changes in how teams are selected, how talent is valued. Maybe we'll start seeing more young players getting a shot at the big stage. Maybe we'll see a shift in how teams are built, focusing more on current performance than past glory. Or maybe Team USA will double down on their current strategy. Either way, one thing's for sure, women's basketball is never going to be the same after this. The game is changing both on and off the court, and how teams adapt to these changes, that's going to determine who comes out on top in the years to come.